Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. For the Grue Rume Show today, I got a very special guest, and he's the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm talking about Mayor Jacobs, who's better known to the wrestling world and the horror world as professional wrestler Kane, the brother of the Undertaker. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Rume Show. And my interview with Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned. All right. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much, Mayor, for coming on and being part of the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Definitely, bud. So the first question I want to ask you is, we are in Halloween season, and are there any Halloween horror films that you love watching for the season?
Oh, well, you know, have See No Evil, of course, See No Evil 1 and 2, which I was in, which, you know, I think it's pretty good slasher pick. But my favorite, I like psychological thrillers. So my favorite movie of all time is The Silence of the Lambs. And then I just watched Misery again last night.
Nice.
You know, this with Kathy Bates, and that was really good. And then, you know, of course, you have like the Halloweens and the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Streets. You know, anything Children of the Corn. Just I kind of like the classic, I guess. 1980s, 1990s horror movies are my favorites.
Oh my God, those are great. Those are all movies that I love too. The Misery and all the Halloween films, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Friday the 13th. So, I mean, you can't beat that era for the horror films.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good. I mean, I guess you go back and you get the classical monsters, you know, Boris Karloff and all that stuff. But yeah, I think '80s and '90s were the golden era of horror movies.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. And are there any like Halloween or horror themed songs that you like listening to?
Oh man, so The Exorcist is, to me, it's like the scariest movie of all time. In fact, I don't even watch it because it's pretty scary. And it's like whatever that, they're throughout, they have, I think it's called like tonal bells or something like that. Is there,
Yes, yes.
the theme I'm talking about? Yeah. We
Mhm.
have that one. Then of course you have Friday the 13th, with, just the creepy music. So those are, again, for me, it probably goes back to movie music and soundtracks.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I I love like the Dream Warriors, the song that they
Yeah,
had
yeah,
in
yeah. Who did that? Was that
Doc and
Stryker
song.
or
It was Doc and
Doc? And that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's such a great song. I love that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
And what about like are you gonna I mean you were always Kane, but are you gonna dress up for Halloween? Like is there anything gonna be for Halloween?
No, probably not. I don't think this year we're going to any Halloween parties. So maybe hand out kid candy to kids when they come by, but that's gonna be about it.
Oh, all right. So like no Halloween parties for this season.
No, not this year.
Okay. And what about your town? You're the mayor of Knoxville. Do they do anything for Halloween, like trick or treating and all that?
Yeah, I mean that, people have that all over town.
Yeah.
And you'll have some folks that do pretty big parties and stuff like that. But we don't do anything per se. It's just folks out there that do stuff. They
Okay.
have, of
Okay.
course, they have the haunted houses and all that.
Oh yeah, I love those things.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to them? Do you ever
I
go
haven't been
through?
in years. I haven't been to a haunted house in years. It's pretty cool. A Follett, which is about an hour north of us, they have a ghost tour that
Ooh.
they do, and it's pretty neat. Like they had, just some uh, not great events happen there. That they still supposedly have ghosts of people running around town, and those are cool. There's also my daughter has been up to in Kentucky. There's a place is like the Waverly State Hospital, and it was a mental institution, and you get to stay there overnight. And
Oh
she
my
says she's
God.
actually seen some stuff there too. So, and we also here we have the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, and same thing.
Yeah.
Stay there overnight, and people say that they see strange things and hear strange things happening.
Oh wow, that sounds so cool. Like I love that kind of stuff, like doing all kind of ghost stuff and haunts and all that.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And we, you say you love Halloween season. Like, what do you love most about Halloween season?
Um, well, the weather, actually, I like it cool. And you think of, like bonfires and all that sort of stuff. And fire pits. It's also football season, so that's great.
Yes, definitely.
But and then it is cool to see when people dress up in different costumes and that sort of thing. So I think it's just a fun time of year.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we can't talk about Halloween season without talking about Kane. Like
Mhm.
Kane is a very horror-based character. And how did how did you how did you go into like the mindset for Kane? Like how did you know how you wanted Kane to look on television?
Um, so that was multifaceted and really evolved over years. But uh again, I'm a big fan of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter. And they had the character Red Dragon, uh,
Mhm.
which was Red Dragon to me was always interesting because it was, um, the story is that this poor fellow was abused when he was a kid. He had a cleft palate, and always considered himself deformed, which he wasn't. Uh, you know, because his cleft palate was fixed, so he could barely tell. And he was also a really big guy, and he was a psychological monster. He wasn't a monster on the outside. There weren't any scars on the outside. They were all on the inside. And that was actually a lot of, especially after I took the mask off. That's how I saw Kane, because it was like, well, he wasn't burnt in the fire. I was like, yeah, that's actually the scariest part is he thought he was burnt and deformed
Yeah.
and scarred, and he wasn't. So he internalized all that. And his view of himself is completely different than what it actually is. And that was the same with the Red Dragon character. There's a lot of similarities. So early on it was your standard, and Undertaker took a lot of his stuff also from like Michael Myers and all that, just your movie monsters in that respect. And there was some of that thrown in there as well, and a little bit of supernatural, not maybe as much as Undertaker. I think he was more like a supernatural character
Oh
than
yeah.
Kane was, but you did have some of that in there as well, and like some mythology, going back, to just brothers who hated each other and were very powerful, and again, had border on supernatural abilities. So you think even about it was one of the coolest things about that whole thing was the Undertaker and Kane storyline was that it was pretty fantastical. I mean, it's pretty far out there, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it could almost been a standalone TV series because like it had
I know you're right.
elements of like, I don't know, like supernatural or some other things in there. But because of the brother versus brother idea, it worked because I think most people could relate to it. So it was kind of neat that you were able to take some of these themes out of almost classical mythology and blend in some supernatural modern stuff, and people still gravitated to it because of the underlying theme of the sibling rivalry.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was such a great. I mean, when Kane and Taker fought, like that was great. But then when they teamed up, like that was even better because you had
Yeah,
these two unstoppable guys, like just running through everyone.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And like the Kane head tilt, like that was definitely like a Michael Myers,
Yeah,
Jason
that
type
actually
thing.
came from my dog. I had a Saint Bernard that would do that. She would tilt her head, but yeah, it was a Michael Myers type thing too. You don't have a mask, so you have to have another way of conveying emotion. And the head tilt was creepy too, because no one knew exactly what Kane was thinking. So it worked very well.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned the horror movies you've done. See No Evil 1 and 2. Jacob was on this, I mean, not exactly like Kane, but on like the same line as
Mhm.
Kane. Like it's this unstoppable guy, this big guy, and the only difference is that Jacob killed people. And but
Yeah. And it's the
so
funny thing, and and it was also like a bit of the Psycho storyline, because it was actually a mother who was the real bad guy.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And Jacob was just an impressionable, very large, but impressionable, you know, blank slate that she did this imprint of evil upon. That again, that's a lot like the Psycho movie and books and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. When you were doing those films, like was there I mean I know it was like a while ago. Was there any kill that actually stood out to you out of the both movies? Like was there anything that was like that you
People
took a
people
step
always
back?
talk about the cell phone thing. But a lot of the reason is just because people get mad when cell phones go off in theaters. So I think that was the main thing. But it was neat. The coolest part about that to me was just to see the special effects and movie magic. And
Mhm.
you watch the dailies, which are it's the what you shot the day before, and it just doesn't look that great until it goes through the editing process. And then some of the CGI, but we used in the first movie especially, that was all all camera angles and prosthetics and that kind of old school special effects. So it's pretty neat to
Okay.
see that stuff in action.
Oh wow, yeah. Any chance of a part three, or you doing another horror movie?
Probably not at this point. I'd say, it's been so long that I'd say that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And what kind of music do you like listening to? Like, do you have any special kind of music?
Pretty much everything. I like older rock, like classic rock, and older country music as well. But I listen to about everything from classical, almost to hip hop. So pretty much everything.
And would there be a karaoke song that you would sing, like if you ever did karaoke?
No, I'm not a very good singer. So no, there would not be.
And what do you like doing during your free time when you're not? I mean, of course you're the mayor, but when you're not doing
Yeah.
your
I
thing.
read a lot, and I try to spend as much time with my family as I can nowadays. So unfortunately, when I was wrestling, I didn't get to spend that much time with my daughters. So I have two grandkids now, and I like to do as much as I can with them.
Oh, that's nice. Well, uh, can Mayor Jacobs. Well, thanks so much for coming on. And how could fans follow you, or like, do you still do the social media thing yet?
Yeah, you can either follow my WWE account, which is at wwekane, and then my personal account is at Glenn with two N's. So it's Glenn Jacobs TN. And then all my social media handles are that. They're Glenn with two N's, Glenn Jacobs TN. All right.
Awesome.
Hey, well,
Thank you so
thanks so
much for
much,
doing
man.
this.
Thank you. Have a great day.
How are
Thanks.
you too?
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.